What's going on, Jeromes? Our weekly Q&A session. I think we got like 70 questions, so turbo style. Let's go. Todd Haysbrook. With our team getting better after the trade, is there still a move you'd like to see them make? I was hoping for cornerback depth going into the playoffs. I think signing Sidney Jones would make a lot of sense. And, of course, I'm down for OBJ, man. As many weapons as possible on this offense. Don't care. John Anderson TV. As always, let me start out by thanking you for your awesome content. Hey, thank you. This might seem like a weird question, given that we're 6-1, about to be 7-1, as we get ready to hoist that Jerome Barty in February. But looking forward to the draft, given Kirk's age and contract, should we make a move at quarterback? My draft crush is K.J. Jefferson in Arkansas. I do like the idea of a quarterback. I'm worried that the Vikings, well, not worried. It's a good problem to have that the Vikings won't be in range in the first round to grab one of the top guys, whether it's Stroud, whether it's Young, whether it's Levis, etc. But Hendon Hooker is really interesting to me. Tennessee, let's go, man. Let's go. But I think that this is going to be a pretty quarterback-rich draft. I think there could be, 5, 6, 7 taken day 1, day 2, somewhere in there. Mimi. How do you think the addition of Hawk will help us stretch the field and get JJ open, as well as Hawk getting some too? I think it completely opens up the middle of the field, where, Irv was solid, except you didn't have that middle, stretching the secondary, especially going up against split safeties, just trying to hit that skinny post. You just didn't really have that on the offense. And Hockenson, that is his bag. Like, he's phenomenal in terms of down the field ADOT, as well as he's a solid blocker. So you're going to be getting him on the field against some heavier packages as well. So I think him against the linebacker, him against the safety, you do like it a lot. Sludge plays. With the Vikings defense looking better and better each week and the offense having its first full game against the Cardinals, where would you say they stand among the league in the postseason, even with the growing pains and scary games? It's starting to see dominate both sides of the ball, similar to Bills playing in the conference-style game. I think the Vikings could potentially be hitting their crescendo when the playoffs start, which is fantastic. And, the Vikings probably going to end up being the 2 seed since the Eagles, it's going to be hard to beat the Eagles, plus look at the remaining schedule. But it actually could benefit the Vikings, where having that momentum just rolling, where that offense is clicking, the defense is getting after it and being opportunistic, and teams is playing really well. It's good. Vikes Nation. What is the best way to balance enjoying saving money from a financial and lifestyle standpoint? I know you spoke about how you try to save more in your 20s rather than spend, and I feel I may be doing the same thing. Just want to get your opinion looking back on now. I think, well, first off, stay out of debt. Secondly, if you're saving and investing, if you're putting away 15, 20, 25% of your income after taxes, if you got some left over, have a rainy day fund for sure. But I think it's just good from an enjoyment and mental aspect to set aside some cash and just enjoy yourself. And now, if you like cars, set aside some, save some, buy yourself a nice car. If you like watches, go that route. If you like experiences, whether it's tickets or concerts or whatever, go that route. If it's trips, do that. And I think that if you put a finite amount on, like, hey, this amount of money I'm literally going to light on fire and have fun with, and then that's it. I think that's smart. Where I think people are on two of the opposite extremes. Like, they're too scared to spend any money at all, or they spend way too much money as it is. So I think that if you just have that set amount, or you save up for a goal, or a goal like a trip, or something that you really want to buy, go do that. White Gritty Goodman. I love the trade for TJ Hockenson, and if possible, would love to extend him if possible. But if he were to leave in free agency after his 5th year, would he get a decent compensatory pick for losing him? Probably a 3rd. Because that's the max for a comp pick for a single player. But I think the Vikings this offseason are going to extend him, lower his cap hit next year, and get after it. Harvey Melber. How sick do you think Lions fans will feel if the Vikings win the Super Bowl, knowing they provided back-to-back Super Bowl winners with missing pieces? Stafford at quarterback, Hockenson at tight end. Probably pretty sick, especially since all they got was a 2nd for a 4th and then a 3rd for a conditional 4th, which isn't a lot. W pick 24. Do you see this upcoming game against Washington as a trap game? I feel like this team will definitely put Minnesota to the test. I think O'Connell has a pretty good rein on the locker room where it's like, hey, we cannot let up. Like, I know that Buffalo's on the schedule in 2 weeks, but we can't overlook Washington. They're 4-4. They won 2 games in a row. They have a hellacious front seven. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely cannot overlook them. Plus, I think veteran leadership on this team, where they understand that this is a special and fun year, and every single game counts, and they can't let up at all. Samuel Arce, which game would you like to see flexed into Sunday night, since we have few opponents with winning records coming up? I would like to see... Oh, we don't have the schedule up? Let me get that up. I'm a professional. Don't worry. All right, so I think the most likely candidates are Vikings-Cowboys or Vikings-Giants. Maybe Vikings-Jets. So weeks 11, 13, 16, also based on what the current Sunday Night Football slate is. But, yeah, those make sense. Then... Ed Danielson. Ed Ingram struggled last week against JJ and has been an unimpressive season so far. If he struggles against Washington, should we try to sign next man up or ride him until the wheels fall off? If he struggles against Washington, which is possible, with Payne and Jonathan Allen, they would have to consider putting in Schlutman or Brandel or Chris Reed. They're just going to have to. Jay McDaniels. Who do you think the Vikings offensive and defensive MVPs this year? There have been a lot of players contributing on the team. Has been very well-rounded so far. Offensive MVP? That's tough to say because there isn't one. Oh, Darrisaw. Actually, I take it back. I was going to say there isn't one dude who's just been excelling, but it's Darrisaw. It's obviously Christian Darrisaw. Defensively, it's Za'Darius. Z-Man. How much for a ZJ? If you got to ask, you can't afford it. Andy Shong. Do you think this rooster has what it takes to win a Super Bowl? Is there anyone you would like to see them add still? I think Sidney Jones makes a lot of sense, as well as, OBJ. I mean, come on, man. Or, with Diesel Dalvin dinged up, and Ndamukong Suh just out there chilling, man. Robert Harry. Were you born in Korea? If so, how old were you when you came to the U.S.? Yes, I was born in South Korea, and I was 9 months when I came over. I'm asking because we adopted 2 girls from China, and it is the very best thing that we ever did. They're the best kids a person could ever ask for. By the way, I love your videos and look forward to them every day. Hey, thank you. Absolutely. And adoption it's fantastic because you're giving a chance for a kid who was given up for adoption, may not have great options, and I think it's just really good. And the wife and I, so we got 2 kids. We got a third one on the way who's due Super Bowl Sunday, which, what's going to happen is that the Vikings are going, the bastard's going to be born on Super Bowl Sunday. And yes, I can call him bastard because it's my kid. And then he's going to see the Vikings hoist that Jerome Barty. And he's like, it's about time. He's like, you jerk. Like, me, your late father, your late granddad, your late great granddad, we waited forever. Like great granddad from 1961. Man, shoot. Whatever. It's like when my daughter was born. She was born right before the first Triple Crown winner in 50 years. It was like, oh, no waiting, no problem. But yeah, we're talking about potentially adopting also from Korea. Showdown. Can you break down the defense with their celebration end zone dances? Where all the different dances they're doing. Dancer likes doing the waddle. Patrick Peterson was doing video games. There's so many celebrations in there that we have considered doing a video on it. I mean, there's just so many things to do. 00 Sunchip. What do you think the Vikings record will be after the next 5-game stretch? All right, let's see here. All right, so 7-1 after the Commies. I'll say 7-2 after Bills. Is what it is. 8-2 after Cowboys. 9-2. 10-2. 10-2. Just like driving. Driving lessons. 10-2, baby. Let's see here. Vikings Nation. Are we getting a preview of the collapse of the Packers for what's to come in the next few years? Yes. Yes, Rodgers is declining. He's soaking up all the cap space. They're not making moves. They're not finding grooves. They're not doing anything, man. And a lot of their young players aren't really panning out, even though Dubs has shown some flashes. It's going to be a dark time in Green Bay. You hate to see it, man. I mean, 3 decades of, Favre and then alleged Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers quarterback play. Great. When do you think Andrew Booth will be getting more reps at corner, assuming we don't go out and trade for one? Also, do you know if any players, members of the Vikings watch, aside from Monster Game coming from Jefferson, Hockenson, blah, blah, blah? I think Booth potentially could start being worked in, although, I mean, who do you take off the field? I mean, Shondon has stepped it up. P-Squared is playing great. Dantzler is playing really well. I mean, who do you take off the field? Do you know if any players or members of the Vikings watch? I've heard yes, and also I've talked with a couple of guys who are now former Vikings that they've said that they watch the channel, which is kind of cool, man. It's really freaking awesome. Aside from Monster Game from Justin Jefferson, yeah, I think Justin Jefferson gets 2 touchdowns this week. I mean, it's just been talked about too much, whereas like Jefferson, hasn't had a receiving touchdown since week 1. I think that he gets it. And then Hockenson, I think he contributes on third down and red zone. Lorenzo Douglas, first off, love the channel and content. Thank you. I just moved to a new town. I was born in a new town and had to end a 2-year-long relationship. I feel kind of lost right now, wondering if you have any breakup advice. Not gonna lie, I'm not really the best person because I never really handled breakups well. Because I would just more, that's done. On to the next one. Where I understand where you're in love, it's a great relationship, and, well, did it end because you moved, or did it end because it was probably going to end anyway, right? Because, distance, especially nowadays, like, if it was honestly meant to be something more than it was, it can be. But if it wasn't, then I think that moving is just a crutch. So it's one of those spots where you can appreciate that a relationship happened, but also you can be like, okay, that's done, chapter closed, on to the next one, and compartmentalize, or you could just hang on to what woulda, coulda, shoulda, and go from there. So you gotta think to yourself, like, is it ending because of the move, or was it gonna had its time run out anyway? So think of it that way. And if it ended only because of the move, there's ways to make it work. Unless you move from like Afghanistan to like I don't know, Arkansas or something like that. That might be a little bit of trouble because internet connection ain't so great in both places. I'm just kidding. I friggin' love Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas is a fantastic state. Considering retiring there, actually, we've already said we're retiring in like 7 different places. So there you go. A little too polar. From what I've seen so far, there has been no mention of the Vikings bringing in a kicker to compete in practice, Greg Joseph, and the Vikings actually saying Greg is the guy. Blah blah blah. I think if he screws up the next 2 weeks, they have to give serious consideration to replacing him. I think so, man. Or if, knock on wood, God forbid, if he costs them a game, absolutely. Ghost, do you think we should draft a quarterback this year? Yes. Quarterback-rich draft. Kwesi has not been shy about being very aggressive, either trading in the draft, trading in division, going after players. So I trust him, man. Fred Flink. Plus, I trust Kevin O'Connell when it comes to picking a quarterback. Has nothing to do with the season, but why do people never talk about Paul Krause? Is it because he's Viking? His stats are insane for the area he was in. Yeah, Paul Krause is slept on. First off, there's 2 records in the NFL that will never be broken. Never be broken. Emmitt Smith's rushing record will never be broken just because there isn't the workhorse running back anymore. And the game has changed into a passing game. So Emmitt Smith's record is never going to be broken. And now Paul Krause's interception record is also never going to be broken because people don't throw as many interceptions as they did back in the day. Paul Krause has 81 interceptions, which is redonkulous. But that was back in the day when starting quarterbacks would throw like 12 touchdowns and 18 picks. It's crazy, man. Because I always use this comparison. Ed Reed was a generational ball hawk, one of the best free safeties in National Football League history. He had 64, which 17 short of Paul Krause, and that's Ed Reed, man. It's crazy. Yeah, but Paul Krause doesn't get the time of day that he should. Pedro Brania, Which players from a 90-man rooster who were cut waived wish you were still on 53-man now? Well, with the injury to Diesel Dalvin, I mean, I'll take Armon for Watts back. He's been playing pretty good for the Bears. R-Free. If we make a deep playoff run this year, does Kirk get an extension again? Do we re-sign him? Yes. I think just for cap relief, just kicking the can down the road, I think it happens again. iMovie King. Favorite candy? I don't really have that big of a sweet tooth, but I guess favorite candy, Starburst. Well, I have to like the yellows and the oranges because I have kids and a wife, so they eat all the pink and the reds. Jerks, man. Favorite NFL game of all time? It might be that Blizzard game between the Ravens and the Vikings, Week 14 of 2013, because that was actually the first. That was the first podcast. Or also, I have a really stupid one. 2011, Tebow and the Broncos at the Metrodome against Ponder, and it was just a ridiculous game, just ridiculous, man. But 28-3 is also pretty good. I mean, that's a good one. Randy Moss's Thanksgiving game against the Cowboys. That's also good. Rewatched that several times. Favorite food from tropical places, like fish. Thanks, Skull Vikings. So I really like mahi-mahi. I like poke bowls. That's just really good. Also, so tropical. I mean, Jamaica counts. So like some really well done jerk chicken. Yeah, come on, man. Come on, baby. That's right. DHVF. Any teams that you just kind of like for no particular reason? Like, you always had a soft spot for the Titans. I don't know why. I usually root for them if they aren't playing the Vikings. I've always liked the Raiders. Yeah, where they had the mystique, the silver and black. Had some great teams back in the day. Unfortunately, they kicked the Vikings' ass in that one Super Bowl, but yeah, I've always liked the Raiders, but I liked them when they were in Oakland, when they had, that edge to them, when they had the actual home field advantage. I mean, when they moved to Vegas, it just seems like it's so hermetically sealed and corporate. Like, it just doesn't have that anymore. Yeah, I always like the Raiders. Tristan D. I'm worried the Vikings are going to overlook the Commanders and lose. It feels like a trap game. Agree to a degree, but I think that O'Connell will have them dialed in. Cypher, which game is more winnable, the Bills or the Cowboys? Cowboys. You're at home, and also you have the Cowboys versus the Bills. And should we have an alternate uniform or helmet, and what should it be? I don't think you necessarily need one. Just bring back the gray face mask, man. Also love Positive. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Supercore 98. Does Irv realistically have a future with the team now that TJ's here? No, absolutely not. He's going to leave him free agency. Vikings will get a comp pick, and it's done. Bennett, Durham, Klein. Do you think Jefferson was a bad omen for this team? Because ever since he came, a lot of games have been so close. Now, praise the sun. It feels like the D has been stiffened up against the run the last few games. That's true. But is that because it's easier to get short yards by passing against the soft shell coverage? Possibly. Why run weekend pass and have a guaranteed 5 yards at least? That is a fair point, but Harrison Phillips and Diesel Dalvin have done a pretty good job against the run as of late. Krim, what do you think will be the Vikings' bending doom come playoff time? Kick woes, defense lets in 50, offense craps a bed. I think it's more likely kicking, just given our history. William Marshall, who are the 2 players you are trading or cutting to open up cap space next year? Well, what I would do or what Kwesi would do, because I think what Kwesi is going to do, I think that he's going to show Dalvin and Harrison Smith the door. I think that they're going to trade Daniil, and I think I was going to say they may cut Thielen, but that doesn't make sense. Nah. Jude Cook, are you a Wild fan? If so, what are your thoughts on Kaprizov? Not really. I mean, I've been to hockey games. It's super entertaining in person, but I don't really ride or die with the Wild. If they win a Stanley Cup, that'd be fantastic. I think it'd be great for Wild fans in the great state of Minnesota. Kaprizov, is he really good? Or is he the chess player? I don't know. Big Papa Bert, I'm starting to to think I'm a fortune teller because I predicted the AFC West was going to be fraudulent. Besides KC, personally, I don't believe forming super teams. I feel like they don't usually pan out, or maybe Tampa, blah, blah, blah. Your thoughts? Well, you can have all the talent you want in the world, except they have to gel. Right? And sometimes it is a issue of too many cooks or too many leaders, not enough followers for your cult. Right? So I do like a team that has been there, done that, got the T-shirt. They trust each other innately. They can read each other's minds, and they also have a good coaching staff. I'll take that. Bert Maurer. Expectations of new tight end output for the first 3 games, and then the last run of the season. Well, I think they'll work Hockenson in slowly. I think that he will. I think he'll get 3 or 4 targets at least against the Titans, against the Commies. And then, as it goes on, I think he'll be a big part of the Bills' game plan. And then, I think for the first 4 games, it'll be touch and go. But after that mini bye after Week 12, as the Vikings get ready for the Jets, and then you have that 6-game stretch down the back end of the season, I think T.J. Hockenson is going to be a full-on participant in this offense, man. Shaq Edwards, thoughts on available kickers we can try out to compete with Greg Joseph. I do not want to pre-emphasis. Rodrigo Blankenship, the goggles. Come on. Zach Ballas. Didn't we have like 10 million cap space at the beginning of the season? What happened to it? Well, transactions, guys being brought from the practice squad, guys being signed to the practice squad, guys going on injured reserve. I mean, that all counts. Big Papa Burp. I do think that Chicago got fleeced for Claypool, judging the fact we got Hockenson basically say train cup. I think Chicago did overpay, especially since their second round pick is probably going to be a super high one. But yeah, that's the price of doing business, and it did seem like there were multiple teams in the bidding, including the Packers reportedly. So, Eric Anderson, how do we get JJ in the end zone? 50-yard touchdown. JJ's got to get himself in there. Or, just give him a shot where it doesn't have to be like the jump ball fade route, but he is the cleanest route runner in the National Football League down in the red zone. So just give him the rock, man. P's 16. What are our quarterback options post Kirk Cousins? Draft. Will Levis is really interesting to me, man. I understand like he struggled against Tennessee, but he's got that Josh Allen skill set. He's got a huge arm, formerly at Penn State, can run. Huge dude. I mean, let's go. Less than bread. Does Hawkins score touchdowns first game as a Viking? Probably not. Well, I'll take that back since he is probably going to be involved in red zone and 2-minute. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. Drew Wanzek. Plus, the commies don't have any film on him as a Viking, so it's random, which is going to be a benefit. Sort of a dumb question, but if we could draft a fictional character from a football movie, who'd you take? Taking Bobby Boucher from the Water. Except Bobby Boucher was like 33. So, drafting a 33-year-old off-ball linebacker, although they used him quite a bit as a rusher. Yeah. See here. Well, Willie Beeman would be intriguing, except he said he had arm issues at the end. Plus, I think he's much older since he bounced around the league for a while. Shane Falco was older. Paul Crew was super old. I might take Nelly from the longest yard, even though Deacon Moss was old too. Nelly from the longest yard, even though you're taking a running back. I don't know, man. I don't know. See, who else? I would. Oh, the giant guy from the longest yard. I'll just take him. I don't know where I'm gonna play him. I'll just put him somewhere. Yeah, we'll go with that. Miles, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, or Dance Dance Revolution? Go. None. Nah. Zach Hazlius, should Dontel be fired, or would messing with coaches have changes mid-season screw things up? I think he's done a better job these last couple weeks. Got to stop that soft zone. I don't understand it. You see teams doing it too. It's just ridiculous because it fails every single time. Derek Baker. Of the remaining games of the schedule, which one poses the greatest danger to the Vikings? Underachieving, flop. Let's see here. See, the annual no-call, no-show game. Colts, maybe. At the Lions. Does have trouble written all over it. Yeah. Arfree. Or misplacing blame for the defense on Dontel. Early, his defense looked more like a Pettin defense than Donatel's style. Could the early push for collaboration have been part of the defensive style? No. Well, from everything we've gathered, Donatel is the guy in charge. Pettin, I mean, sure, he's got input since that's his forte, but I mean, the buck stops with the coordinator. That's Donatell, man. Lesson bread. Trivia, commenters don't ruin it. Who's the only Vikings quarterback to go on to win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback after their time in Minnesota? Only Vikings quarterback on win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. Well, Gannon didn't win. Wilson didn't win. Kramer didn't win. Oh, Brad Johnson. Nah, nailed it. LZT. What do you think the odds are the Vikings lay an egg against the Commies and go on to beat the Bills? 50-50. Either it happens or it don't. IDK. Defense wins championships, so put Brian Asamoah in every play. That's what works in Madden. Asamoah is a super talented dude, man. And Jordan Hicks and Kendricks have obviously been playing well, but they got to find a way. You can have 3 linebackers on the field, man. I mean, Asamoah runs like a safety. Noble War Prize. Chances Adam Thielen's down the roster next season. 40%. Peter Kopp. With the Bucks going down the drain, is it just me that wants Antoine Winfield Jr. to join the Vikings next couple of years, following his dad's footsteps? The problem is you got Scene, who's going to be coming back and fine. Then you got Cam Beasley. Harrison is still here. But, I mean, I'll take Winfield. You can play slot corner. You can play that Honey Badger type role. Kyle Garager. If Daniil leaves in the offseason and we rework Za'Darius' deal, who will step up as the other outside linebacker? Wanham PJ2, rookie free agent. I think it might be a timeshare between Wanham and Patrick Jones. Also, Villain's in there. And certainly draft. Yeah. Zaragoza 44. Can my kids Robert, Isiana, and Nevia get a skull shout out all the way to SoCal? We watch, listen your vids all the time. Hey, shout out. Robert Isiana. It's a beautiful name. And Nevia, do your homework, eat your vegetables, brush your teeth, listen to your mom and dad. That's all. Also, skull. That's right. 84 GOAT. What would it take for Minnesota to beat Buffalo, and why does Ed Donatell double team elite wide receivers when they face them? Why doesn't he do that? D-Hop did a number on Minnesota. That's a fair question. Also, they just let him run loose in the zone several times. It's frustrating, man. Bennett Durham Klein. Where do you see this team in 3 to 5 years from now? Will Jefferson be trades? Will King Candy be a top 5 run back? What? King Kenne. Jefferson will be here. Hockenson will be here. Darrisaw will be here. And other than that, I mean, it's hard to say definitively like this player will be on the Vikings, in 3 to 5 years. But I could say Jefferson, Hockenson, and Darrisaw. There's the 3 pillars of the offense. Tristan D. If Kirk wins the Super Bowl, should the Vikings build a statue of him outside US Bank Stadium? I'd rather do a Jefferson one. Yeah. Jerome Baker. Name 5 current Vikings veterans and what career vocation each will pursue in earnest after they retire. Kirk Cousins, motivational speaker. Now, I could see Kirk Cousins being involved with some high-profile charity organizations. I could see that. I think I think Kendricks is gonna be into cars and YouTube. I think Daniil's just gonna be into cars, man, which is kind of awesome. I could see Harrison Smith. So Harrison has his pilot's license. Like, I don't know, maybe he'll be a commercial pilot. It's like, hey, Spirit Airlines, I'm your pilot, Harrison Smith. Let's go. Let's see what else. I could see Patrick Peterson being in the media. Yeah, for sure. I think he's laying the groundwork with his podcast with Brian McFadden. So yeah, I think Patrick Peterson is ready to ease himself into one of those studio gigs, which I mean is really good work if you can get it, man. Like you get paid a couple $1 million and you work weekends for the football season. That's about it. That's a good gig, man. Yeah, it's 5. Emily, do your kids speak Japanese, Korean, and English? They do not. I speak like 4th grade Spanish. I speak like very minimal Japanese, arigato. Speak very minimal Mandarin, and I speak like 9th grade English. But the kids can count to 10 in Chinese and Korean, so we got that going on for us. Jermaine Williams, who are your top 3 favorite rappers? Biggie. Like I feel like I'm supposed to say Eminem and Tupac because I probably listen to them the most. But, well, I actually just like certain albums. So Biggie's Ready to Die is always on rotation. 2001 The Chronic. East 1999 by Bone Thugs is really good too. I actually think I'm just like era specific when it comes to rappers. It's like, hey, this is my window from 20 years ago. And that's it. That's it. Walter Cronkite, DMB. Who is the next player to join the team? OBJ. Oh, BJ or Sidney Jones. And Viking Jerome, Snickers or peanut M&Ms? Neither. Fat. That's it. That is Q&A for this week. You guys are the best. Skull, production value.